Hello again, everyone. This is the second part of the Module 1 orientation. The first part talks about Project 1, and now I'm just going to go into the 4 weeks of Module 1 in general. So I'm going to click from here over in the left frame, and here you'll see all of the sections for Module 1. So there is a little introduction here. There's the calendar for Module 1. And this is a PDF with all of the weeks of the module. And you'll see Module 1, Week 1 here. The boxes are just things that you can check off if you were to print this out. These are not things that are due. But when you do have something due, like this discussion of the full value contract, that has a star. So the things with the stars are things that you will be getting graded on and are due. Other things are readings and other assignments that are not graded. So there's week 1, and there is something to do here every day, but this is just a suggested schedule, and if you can follow it, you'll really stay on target. But if you have to save things to the weekend, I think you'll have plenty of time to finish that up. And you will notice that there is a catch-up day every Sunday, so there's nothing that's going to be scheduled or put as an assignment on Sundays. So there's week 2, week 3, and week 4 of the module. So this is opened up in a new window, and it's pretty easy to print if you'd like to do that. So here we are back in Module 1. I showed you the calendar, and then we have the links to go to each of the weeks of the course and their corresponding assignments. And then finally, there's the link to Project 1. So there's just some general directions here, a little list of exactly what you should have handed in by the time you're done with week 1. And then it says to see all the learning activities for week 1, click week 1, choosing what you eat and why above. So we're just going to click here to begin week 1. And I'm going to go ahead and hide this sidebar so we can get a good view of this whole page here. So there's an introduction to week 1 here that you can read. And next are the objectives. And then there's a screen capture of the first week of the calendar here. So that's there if you just want to look at this and not look at the overall calendar that I showed you before. And then we have the discussion. So I'm a member of group 1, so this is discussion group 1. And just read the directions here. And then you just click to launch to go over to the discussion board and participate in that discussion. And then there's another discussion that has a little bit of background here where you'd read. And then the discussion directions where you're going to be talking about factors that affect your and your students' food choices is there. And there's a little short assessment here. It's not necessarily going to have a big impact on your grade because it's just a little 5-part quiz. And you'll see the 5 questions are here. So you're just going to be doing the math problems and clicking the radio buttons and save and submit. Now, when this opened up, it automatically launched the assessment. But you do want to read these pages before beginning the quiz. So if it does go click to launch and you're not ready to take it, just hit cancel and you'll get back here. So you would want to read these pages of chapter 1 and then begin the little self-check. And there's a little optional math application that you might want to do with your students. So read that. And then there's just this checklist here. So all of these things should be done by the time you've completed week 1. All right, so let me go back and we'll go look at week 2. And just as with week 1, there's an introduction, there's the objectives, there's the second page of the calendar. And during this week, you're not going to be doing any discussions on the big discussion board. You'll be working on the discussions that go along with Project 1. And there is a little assignment here. It's nothing that's due, but it's a lot of fun to do the portion distortion quizzes and just learn about food labels. So that's an activity during Module 1, Week 2. And here you're going to be going to your team discussion board to begin working on Project 1, the Engage and Explore sections. So I've already shown the video for that, but if you click here, you'll go over to Project 1 and you can work on those 2 different sections of the 5 E's of inquiry-based learning. And the second assignment in Week 2 is an assignment where you're going to be looking at science education standards. I have some links here to ones in Massachusetts, but look for those that go along with your own state. And then we have ones for at the national level. And I've put another link here to your Teaching Ideas journal, just in case you want to go back there and look at that. But you can always get that from the left frame, if you remember. It's right here. And then finally, there's a checklist for finishing up Week 2. And I'll go back and go to Week 3. And remember, you can get to Week 3 from here as well. So let me just go to Module 1. Here's Week 1, Week 2, and here's Week 3 again, the link. So just as before, we've got an introduction, the objectives, the calendar, and we're going to link to Project 1 to do the explain section. And then there are a set of discussions here in a folder. You're just going to either do discussion 3 or 4. You do not have to complete both, but I would recommend reading the information that goes along with both. So you can read this even if you don't participate in that discussion. The directions for the discussion are there, but they're also in the big group discussion board. And here are the directions for discussion number 4. So there's a lot of little resources here. So feel free to look those over, but you only have to participate in one or the other of the discussions. Let me just go over to the discussion board and just show you where those are. So the Module 1, Week 1 discussions there for all 3 groups. And then the food choices discussion, and then the 3rd discussion and the 4th discussion are there. So as it says, just be sure to pick one or the other of those. Okay, one more time back to Module 1. So let me just make sure I've shown you everything in Week 3, as I think I did. So those are all the things that you will be doing during Week 3. And finally, let's go to Week 4. So same organization, an introduction, the objectives for you to read, the calendar for you to look at when you need to. And we're going to be working on the last 2 sections of Project 1. And then there are 3 discussions this week. One is on organ systems and their relationship to nutrition. So you're just going to be reading your textbook up until page 92, and then just a brief discussion about interactions of human body systems. And because there are so many discussions this week, the expectation of having a lot of posts is not going to be there. So just post a couple of times. And before reading about digestion in your textbook, this is a fun little activity that you can do where you'll think about carbohydrate digestion. So follow these directions carefully and participate in the discussion. And again, not that many expectations for discussion posts in this one, just a couple. And then finally, you'll be ready to read about digestion. So this is the information about digestion in your textbook, and there's some great videos here, especially if you've got a strong stomach. You can watch these. And the discussion this time is going to be writing a little story about the horrors of the digestive system. So that's the last discussion for week 4 and also for module 1. So this is just a link to get you to that digestive system discussion. You can also, of course, again, go from over here in the discussion board. And the optional activity here is about teaching about emulsions. And there is one assignment here at the end, and it's just a short reflection about module 1. So you're just going to be picking 2 of the questions here and answer them thinking about what you've learned about science and teaching nutrition science, and then answer 2 other ones or 2 of the same ones telling about how you are feeling about learning in an online classroom. So one way to complete this is to download all the questions. I have this in a document here, and answer on this document, and then browse your computer to upload your completed Module 1 reflection document, or you can also write a submission in the text box, either way. And then finally, there's a little note here about what things you should have done to have completed week 4. And that will conclude the notes for week 4 and also for module 1. So I hope you'll enjoy module 1. I think there's a lot going on, but just take it one week at a time and you'll do great.